Welcome to the pre-stream. We're going to start in just a little bit. You can kind of skip through this if you want, but we're just getting the pre-game going right now. Testing out everything, testing the sound, testing, testing everything just to get it cracking. Emir says, Assalamu alaikum. Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullah barakatuh to you, Emir. Let me know what part of the world you are from, my man. And buckle up because we're about to strap in for a wild ride of some information that we're going to talk about with this particular subject with Dana White. So stay tuned. We will get the stream going, but first, I'm going to play Dana White. Turkey, okay. Shout out to Turkey, man. So, you know what? This is what's interesting about where I'm from. I am from Sacramento, California. So I am from California, USA, my man. And no matter what part of the world we are from, we are all Muslim brothers by the end of the day. So whether it's from the US, whether it's from Turkey, Saudi Arabia, Russia, Africa, Asia, yeah, we are all Muslim brothers. And by the way, the story that I'm about to talk to you guys about has a strong Islamic component behind it. You see, right now, in the world of MMA, right, the most dominant force in MMA right now are Muslim fighters. You cannot deny that. In other words, you have people like Khabib, who's retired undefeated on top. You have people like Islam Makhachev, who just vacated his 155 belt just so he can pursue a second title shot in the second weight class. Okay? Khabib is a true warrior. Yes, Amir. And your English is fine, by the way, at least by the way that you're currently speaking with me. So there's Islam, 155 champion, vacates, goes up to 170. Right, which is in a couple of weeks. Then you have Khamzat, who is now the 185 champion. And then Ankalaev, regardless of the results that happened with the Alex Pereira fight, is now a former world champion. So there is a clear domination with Muslim fighters. And then, of course, you got, you have the likes of, what's his name? Arthur Beterbiev in boxing. Muhammad Ali has always been a dominant force, or at least a dominant name in the world of boxing. One can argue about how his career ended. Obviously, there's a lot of stains at the end of his career. Who doesn't, right? Who, like the likes of BJ Penn, Chuck Liddell, who doesn't have a career like that and still has a legendary, but the cultural impact of Muhammad Ali is significant and is part of that matrix of Muslim fighters in combat sports. And obviously Khabib, Islam, Khamzat are the linear inheritance of that particular notion of Muslims dominating in the in the combat sports world, right? Victory, shout out to you, my man. Shout out to you. One of my moderators is here. All right, so we're going to get this thing on and cracking. So why I'm mentioning this is because obviously there's an Islamic component to this. Obviously, the other part of this story is NYC's Mamdani winning the mayor race. So that has something to do with this as well. Amir asks, who do you think is the best Muslim athlete? You know what? That's very hard to sort of give you an answer on that, because by athlete, what exactly do you mean? Does it just confine to fight sports? Does it also extend to, let's say, Premier League soccer with the likes of Mohamed Salah? Does it also extend towards basketball, where you have Muslim athletes like Kareem Abdul-Jabbar? Obviously, Hakeem Olajuwon, who was also a Muslim, and while he was fasting for one of the NBA finals in the 90s, had actually won an NBA championship. So it's very, it is a very difficult question. But who is my favorite right now in terms of Muslim athletes? I'm going to say Khamzat Chimaev. You want to know why? The reason why I say that is because Khamzat Chimaev, right? He's a little bit different than that of Khabib, Islam, and the rest of the guys in Team Eagle, right? Very different. Let me explain how different Khamzat is in comparison to them. Number one, Khamzat has a bit of a thuggish mentality, something that you would only something that would only influence you if, let's say, you grew up in the Western world. And what parts of the Western world do I mean by that? Well, I mean England, America, Sweden, basically any country in the world that has an urban street culture, right? Okay, so there you go. That is the point that I'm making, Amir, right there, right? Amir said it right there. Khamzat does act like a Muslim, does not act like a Muslim, and curses a lot. Wow. Okay, so that is actually the point that I'm trying to make, Amir. See, the reason why I like Khamzat, or why he's my favorite Muslim athlete right now, is because he's relatable to a lot of Muslim guys like myself who grew up in a Western culture, who grew up around gangs, who grew up around street hood culture, right? That's something that a lot of, put it like this, right? Khamzat is the type of guy that would be relatable to the Bloods and Crips. He would be relatable to Russian mafia guys, Italian mafia guys, Armenian mafia guys. He would also be very relatable to, let's say, the average European Arab gangster who wears tracksuits and drives around in BMWs all day, right? So that's sort of what makes him a little bit different and unique from Khabib. Now, Khabib, on the other hand, I'm going to be honest with you, right? As great as he is, it's almost as if Khabib almost had like a silver spoon handed down to him, even though he lived very hard, right? He says, you got a point, my dude, just like Khabib. Yes, okay, so Amir says, I also like that Khamzat is very much, he just needs to reduce the swearing. Okay, I see what you're saying. Average Soy Boy says, have you read the Communist Manifesto? No, I haven't. Please, if you would care to fill me up on that, so that we can have full context in what message you are trying to convey. So perhaps maybe we can create a wholesome conversation out of that. Duke says, what up? I'm not going to say what you said there because the letters and the combinations of those letters are sort of suspect, and it looks like it would lead me into a cancelable type of statement. So shout out to you, Duke Moose, in any kind of regard. Albert Tuff says, hi. Yo, shout out to you, my man. How are you, my man? He says, nice to meet you. God bless you. See you soon, my man. Also, Amir, don't forget to hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and also don't forget to join my members only stream, so that you can get some bonus content out of this channel as well, because I do talk about MMA, I talk about world politics, I talk about local American politics, which what we're going to get into today regarding Mamdani's win. But we're also going to talk about the UFC's betting scandal that has been going on. A few weeks, big card, bro. Yes, Drizzy Goat, shout out to you, my man. One of my regulars are in here. So Amir says, I like to talk about MMA too. Good. Well, you're definitely in the right channel. If you like to talk about religion, if you like to talk about politics, you like to talk about MMA, this is a channel that definitely is not shy away from that. He says, that's what I'm interested in. Yes, sir. Okay, good, good. So, oh wait, when you said that's what you're interested in, do you mean one of those subjects or all of those subjects? Let me know on the comment section below. Shout out to you, Albert Tuff. And also let me know what part of the world you are at. Amir says, I will definitely check out your channel. Thank you. Also check out the new videos that I have as well. I do fairly decent when it comes to the live streams and the numbers that I put up on it, but you know, when it comes to the videos, I'm just sort of working on that right now. Herb Pills Pie says, Thug Rose is my favorite female fighter. Okay, that's interesting. Oh wow, oh wow, someone's sending a gift here. Wow, okay, combined. Wow, all right, man. So my man Domain is handing out some gifts here. Thank you. Thank you for that, my man. Shout out to you. Shout out to you, my man. He says, I'm in America. Okay, don't need to, if you don't want to disclose, that's perfectly fine. There are people here that do disclose what city they're in, but if you don't, that's perfectly okay too. Islam by submission, Val by decision, Prats by KO are my picks. Okay, so that's what you have for UFC NYC. Okay, and Drizzy Code says, but Val could get a sub. Amir says, Islam will get the second belt, inshallah. Inshallah. And you know what? It seems right now that Islam Makhachev is really growing well into this new weight class that he's in. Okay? So that's one thing that we can... he says, do you speak Turkish? I do not. وَإِن تَخَلَّمْ عَرَبِي Amir. Let me know if you speak Arabic as well. I know a lot of people in Turkey do speak Arabic as well as Turkish. But yeah, shout out to you, my man. And also, how do you watch UFC? What channel hosts the UFC in your country? Is it DAZN? Is it ESPN? Or do you guys have your own local channel that has a deal with the UFC? How do you guys consume your UFC? That is the question that I would like to know as somebody who has studied media and you know, and yeah, and things of that nature. So I'm curious to know, like, what kind of, yeah, so the fight fixing, yeah, so we're going to talk about that, right, the whole fight fixing thing. As a matter of fact, let me put a timeline into this, okay? So we're going to start off with... All right, so in 14 minutes into this... and then Dana White speaks. Okay, so that is the topic at hand that we're going to talk about. Drizzy Goat says, Islam is better than Khabib fight fixing. Amir says, I'm sorry, my friend, I can't understand what you say because my English is bad. You know what? Maybe there is a translator right underneath your button. I think that YouTube is sort of, you know, starting to dub a lot of the content now to kind of give it like, you know, a translation for whatever language you speak in. But on any regard, here we are right now. We're going to talk about the FBI cracking down on the UFC and Dana White speaking about it. See, you ask, do you believe in God? Of course, man. Of course, as a Muslim, of course, I absolutely do believe in Allah, the Creator, and you know, and all of his messengers, which includes Jesus, Moses, Muhammad, Abraham, and Noah. May peace and blessings be upon all of them. So can I pray for you? Of course, absolutely. Yes, you can absolutely pray for me, my man. So Allahu Akbar, see you. Yes, all right, awesome. We got some good spiritual morale going on in the room right now. Hopefully that doesn't put people off. But on any regard, let's hear what Dana White had to say to TMZ. Now, why is it that Dana White chose TMZ to respond to, right? He could have done this in his own social media. He could have done this in his own, in his own YouTube channel, or maybe even the UFC's YouTube channel. Why did he decide to do this on TMZ? Well, let's be honest about this, right? TMZ asks softball questions in comparison to, let's say, Ariel Helwani, right? That's the reason why Ariel Helwani doesn't get any press passes. Luke Thomas, right? These are guys that are going to push back on the company's safe narratives that they want to put out there, right? The politically correct, public relations, polished statements that they want to put out there. He says, what is your name? My name is Kyrie Abu El-Kheer. Shout out to you. Do you have any pain? No, I don't, but I do certainly love to inflict pain. I'm kidding about that. Appreciate the effort. Thank you, HJ. Joshua says, and we know for those who love God that all things work together for good for those who are called according to purpose. Okay. Staying Fit the Grid says, okay, that right there, this guy is up out of here, right here. You're on a 24-hour timeout. You know, talking a whole bunch of, you know, BS. He says, don't forget Brendan Schaub, the #1 source of MMA. Is that right? Is he the #1 source of MMA? I did not know that. Okay, well, at least he likes to think so. But on any regard, let's hear what Dana White had to say about this, and let's react to it, right? And why did he pick TMZ? Obviously, these are softball questions. That's what they do. These are channels that are predicated on trying to get interviews with fighters, right? Or with just famous people. Obviously, they're not just a fight channel. They're also a sports channel, but also a mainstream tabloid channel, right? Very similar to what they have in The Sun in the UK and, you know, and all these other, you know, weird national inquiries type of content, right? But they are a safe channel that ultimately is not really, how do I say this, confrontational in the way that they ask questions, right? Ariel Helwani is very confrontational in the way that he asks questions. Brendan Schaub, now a media member, former UFC fighter, very much aggressive in the way that he asks questions on certain subjects, even towards people that he has previously trained with during his career. Now, also, Ariel Helwani has sacrificed roles and sacrificed press passes and access to the UFC just to hit them with the hard-hitting questions that everybody wants to know. TMZ does not do that. Their whole entire prerogative is, let's get in there and ask softball questions so that we can make friends with everybody. That's what they like to do. He says, dear Lord, help any depression, anxiety, and any mental health issues that you may heal him in the name of Jesus. Well, I certainly appreciate that, but I certainly hope you don't think that I have any of these things going on. But thank you regardless, and I do want to assure you that I am probably one of the happiest people that you will ever know. I mean, obviously, look, you would have to be a happy person to get up here and do this because, let's be honest, right? Most people are camera shy, right? And not only are they camera shy, they're also very unsure of themselves, but also unsure of themselves. If you were to just tell a random person today to start a YouTube channel, they wouldn't know necessarily what to do or to talk about or to what kind of niche subject they should get into in order to be in this space of YouTube or to be in any kind of space into any type of category, right? So that's the challenge in and of itself. But what I will say is that because of the happiness that I have and all of that, I think that, you know, that ultimately is the reason why I'm able to get up here. So, okay, but yeah, none of these things, but regardless, thank you, and I do, you know, appreciate that. Soy says, hi, bro. Hello, how are you? Victory says he's very happy unless you make a derogatory comment about his weight. Well, yeah, I mean, you know, it's kind of a weird thing for people to, you know, come up and say, right? I mean, you know, when they don't know you from a can of paint, they just see you from an angle because you're sitting down or whatever, that somehow they make assumptions about, you know, whatever it is that they feel like they can use as a low-hanging fruit comment of like body shaming or some sort, like just to feel better about themselves, right? Very weird, but yeah, thank you for that comment right there. Okay, so here's what Dana White had to say about this particular topic at hand right here.
And they are the best.
Let's go back.
Probably about 1 o'clock that day, we're with a company called IC360, and they are the best bet monitoring company in the business. And they reached out to us and they told us that there was some unusual action going on with that fight. Do we know anything? You know, we didn't. So what we did was we called the fighter and his lawyer.
Thank you for the compliment of the WWE belt. Not the biggest fan of the WWE today, but I was a fan previously of the WWE. Obviously, there's a lot of storylines that are going on in the world of MMA right now. Very hard to keep up with the storylines of WWE. but it's a great conversation starter nonetheless. So thank you for that.
And said, what's going on? There's some weird action going on in your bet. Weird betting action going on in your fight. Are you injured? Do you owe anybody money? Has anybody...
Well, his first question was, are you injured? And what's strange about that question is simply because everyone is injured when they go into a fight. Most people that go into a fight are injured, right? But to what extent are there injuries? I mean, I tell you what, a lot of people seem to hide it. Alex Pereira said in the first Ankalaev fight he was injured. Ankalaev said that during this fight he was injured, so what can you do? You know what I mean? So, all right, here's Dana White right here.
Approached you to, and the kid said, no, absolutely not. I'm going to kill this guy. And, so we said, okay. The fight.
Hold on a second. All right.
It plays out. And first round finish by rear naked choke. Literally, the first thing we did was call the FBI. So we called the FBI. I've met with the FBI twice today. So that's the whole thing. Now you see people out there talking, oh, there's hundreds of fights under it's total bull.
Okay, so that's one of the problems with this, right? Is that they're saying there was 100 fights that were affected by the UFC overall. Now, to what span of how many years, no one really knows. No one really has a particular number, right? Or no, look, they said that a couple of fights in this particular card with Garcia and Onama were affected, but there's no proof of that. I'm going to tell you where all this is going to lead later on, right after this video, and then you let me know what you think right after that.
Total, usual clickbait bullshit. IC360, our company, they monitor all of the betting. Like I said, they're the best in the business. There aren't hundreds of fights being investigated. All clickbait BS. So this company, IC360, which is the best bet monitoring company in the business, we've been with them for years. And we get a report after every single fight that we do. So for anybody out there that's clickbait saying, oh, there's hundreds of fights.
So okay, this is considered an independent company, right? So a company that doesn't have any particular biasness towards one, fighter or one entity within the UFC or anything like that. So I guess they were brought in as some kind of like third party constituent of some sort, right? Or at least a, some sort of force of authority, or at least some sort of image that is a force of authority that realistically is brought in by the UFC.
It's all bullshit. We've been with these guys for years. We take this very serious, and we're watching every single fight that happens in the UFC, from the first prelim to the main event. So when this did happen, a couple of years ago, whenever it was, that investigation is still ongoing, and now will be a part of this investigation too. You mentioned talking to the FBI.
So what he was saying was that obviously I had mentioned in the video regarding this particular subject. Obviously now this is the updated version of what is going on right now that Dana White has broken his silence on this, right? The James Krause situation. Now look, the conclusion to all of this, I'm going to tell you in a second what is going to happen based on the result of this, right? And you're going to be shocked at what I think is going to happen out of this, because it's almost the same thing that happened with the James Krause situation, more so right after this.
Are you directly talking to Cash Patel? I'm sure you do have a relationship.
Yeah, I talked to him this morning, but then we just had an office full of FBI agents in here, so, if you try to do this, I've been very vocal and very open about this. We will be your worst enemy.
Ooh, Dana White says he's going to be your worst enemy. Again, this is a reason why I put on the thumbnail, that's effing illegal, okay? Do you know where that came from? Dana White said this back in, I think, 2010, 2011. This is like a Dana White meme that he's done right here. This is the original clip right here. Okay, so Gary Shaw, okay, was the promoter of Elite XC at the time. Do you guys remember Kimbo Slice? Kimbo Slice was set to fight this fighter named Seth Petrozelli. Gary Shaw told Seth Petrozelli, you got to go in there and stand with Kimbo, because Seth Petrozelli, even though he's a karate guy, he has better ground game than Kimbo, because he just been in MMA a whole lot longer. So naturally, he's going to have the longer and better ground game, right? Okay, so he told him and instructed him, fight him standing up. And that's effing illegal, okay? Hence Dana White's comments right here.
Scumbag, there is a problem with that. You don't know the scumbag promoters behind the scenes went in and paid him to not go to the ground. They paid him to stand up. You know why? Because they thought that Kimbo Slice was going to viciously knock him out. They don't care about mixed martial arts. These fuck jerk-offs are in it for the money. These guys want to come in, take a piece of the pie, and in it, they don't give a fuck if they destroy the whole sport. That's fucking illegal.
Yeah, there you go. That's the context behind that. I told you guys about Gary Shaw and this and that. So, yeah, that's been, the famous Dana White comment ever since then. That's effing illegal. Kyle says, let him cook. Mr. Piano says, can I run an insult by you? No, you cannot. This is not one of these, channels where, like, you can just run an insult or whatever and you think that it's somehow funny or whatever, this and that. Yeah, you need to go to another channel for something like that. But on any regard, you're allowed to say whatever you want to say, but it doesn't mean that I'm not going to block what you say or erase what you say, or maybe even subject you to personal insults based on what you said. So, yeah, in any regard, another dumb comment right there that just gets deleted like that. Right now, I'm not going to block you, but if you say dumb comments, then you're just going to get removed, or at least gets your comment removed. But if you say something that is so horrendous, I might just block you out of the channel, for a long time. Jojo says, this is not an insult channel. What do you think he is Glizzly Globber or something. Grow up. Yeah, exactly. Do you play VR virtual reality? No, but I have tried doing the boxing virtual reality stuff. It's quite good. You know, yeah, I don't know if it helps you with your boxing or anything. I would imagine it does to a certain degree, but yeah, you would probably need to, yeah, you know, so let's see here, back to Dana White right here.
Will immediately go after you, guns a-blazing, with the FBI and whoever else we need to get, and we will do everything we can to make sure you go to prison. It's like, you know, you're seeing things out on the internet where like fighters are coming out and going, "Oh, I was approached. Really? Why didn't you tell us that? Or more important,
Says, really? Why didn't you tell us that? Oh, you know, you should have told us that. Like, think about this, right? Why would they say that? But look, you got to understand something about Dana White. He's only saying this. He is only saying this because obviously there are FBI agents in his office right now. Like, as he's doing this right now, okay, there are shadowy figures behind him right now that are telling him things that are saying, well, we want information or this and that. And look, you got to understand something, right? Dana White is a mainstream company. The UFC is a mainstream company. They are endorsed by Donald Trump, right? On top of that, the FBI director is a UFC brohead. He's a sports fan as well. All these other past FBI directors, right? They were just regular white dorks from guys that graduated from John Jay University or all these other law enforcement universities or the military or this and that. They had no interest in martial arts. In fact, their whole entire view of martial arts is something that comes out of Asia, right? Which is like just the 1980s view that they have of martial arts. Very similar to the same FBI agents that was chasing down Frank Dukes in the Bloodsport movie. Can you imagine the movie and the premise of Bloodsport was an American military serviceman from the Air Force, played by Jean-Claude Van Damme, okay, going to Hong Kong and having FBI agents follow him, trying to bring him back to the United States because they were scared that this American was not going to be good enough to fight with these international guys and would potentially get hurt. Years later, here we are. We have a president who endorses the sport, and not only that, the director of the FBI endorses the sport again. So yeah, if it wasn't for Kash Patel being a UFC brohead, like all of us are UFC broheads to a certain degree, then this is literally what we would get, is just the same old business every day. They would not even touch it. They wouldn't even notice any of this. But because Kash Patel has interest in the UFC, tied in with Donald Trump, that is a reason why. But you can also go into other conspiratorial opinions or hypotheses that may not necessarily be true and go off of the idea that, hey, perhaps maybe the reason why all of this is going on is to distract from the Epstein files. Now, I'm willing to entertain that idea because that is a reality, okay? But there's no proof of that, and we never know. So,
why didn't you tell law enforcement that you were approached? Now you're saying that you were approached? It's like if somebody comes up and says, "Hey, I want you to rob a bank. I'm going to rob banks. Want to rob a bank with me?" And you don't do it. But you're not gonna tell law enforcement? It's really weird that fighters are coming out now saying they were approached, and they're going to be approached now by the FBI.
We see this going on in other sports, what the NBA is dealing with right now. As the person who runs the most prominent promotion in this sport, you just hate to see something like this, right? Whether the UFC or any other sport.
I hate to see anybody in our sport do anything illegal, but fight.
going back to that clip once again.
Scumbag. There is a problem with that. You don't know the scumbag promoters behind the scenes went in and paid him to not go to the ground. They paid him to stand up. You know why? Because they thought that Kimbo Slice was going to viciously knock him out. They don't care about mixed martial arts. These fuck jerk-offs are in it for the money. These guys want to come in and take a piece of the pie, and in it, they don't give a fuck if they destroy the whole sport. That's fucking illegal.
There you go. That's what it is. That's exactly what it is. It's effing illegal, according to Dana White. All right, more on the video.
Fixing is absolutely insane. To get to this level and go out and be a part of fight. And I'm not saying this kid's guilty. You know what I mean? There's no proof that he's done this yet, but I can tell you this: it doesn't look good. It definitely doesn't look.
So what's weird about that is they fired him on the spot already, right? They said that we don't know if he's guilty yet, but yet you fired him. I told you guys by the end of this video, which is about 30 seconds left into this, I'm going to tell you what exactly is going to happen, and also the past case with James Krause. What is the update on that? And they're saying that all of this is tied in some kind of way. And also, Dolgarian, as they say, was a former training partner of James Krause, or was his former coach, or by the very least, trained with him. We don't know what exactly that means, but let's find out.
Good. We approached him before the fight. He and his lawyer, and they denied that anything, from everything. Are you hurt? Are you injured in any way? Do you owe people money? Have you been asked to do anything, illegal? We asked them all the questions, and everything was absolutely not, hell no. So the fight went on. And then, like I said, fight ended, fight finished.
There was a fight that was pulled out of Matchroom for the same reasons, okay? Eddie Hearn's Matchroom, right? Let's look up and see what fight was that. Let's see, what was the Matchroom fight that due to betting? So this was at 2024. Okay, there's a Daily Mail. Okay, so it was a Matchroom fight between Aqib Fayez and Kane Baker was pulled at the last minute of June 2024. Okay, due to concerns of irregular betting activities. So very similar to this. And I want you to keep in mind, this boxing match that was pulled out, okay, is the same type of situation with the Dolgarian and the Del Valle fight, right? The only difference is that that fight had went on because, like what you heard in the video, Dana White asked the fighter, hey, are you injured? Did anyone approach you? Are you going to do anything illegal regarding this fight? They said, no, I'm going to go kick this guy's butt. Okay, so they believed him. This right here, with the fighters involved, the boxing version of this, Aqib Fayez and Kane Baker was scheduled for a super featherweight rematch on the undercard of Tyler Denny versus Felix Cash in Birmingham, UK, okay, which was in June 22nd, 2024. Now, the reason for the cancellation, okay, Matchroom's statement initially cited unforeseen circumstances. Now, that could mean a whole wide range of things, injuries or personal illness or just a personal time or whatever it is, right? Eddie Hearn later revealed he was made aware of suspicious betting patterns surrounding the bout. The information made him feel extremely uncomfortable, leading to the decision of pulling the fight. Okay, so the investigation of the British Boxing Board of Control and the Gambling Commissions launched their own investigations into the matter. So the fighters' response, both Fayez and Baker denied any involvement in the alleged activity. Baker claimed he was told to take a dive or the fight would not go ahead. And the allegation, he said that it was rubbish, right? But that's what they all say. But they pulled the fight anyway. Okay, this was in the first time in 15 years that a promoter that Eddie Hearn had to deal with a situation like this had ever took place in a fight. Okay, so just understand there's some similarities to it, but at the same time, yeah. So let's talk about what were the irregularities regarding this, right? Okay, while the specific details of the betting patterns have not been publicly announced, the investigation was prompted by reports of irregular betting which suggest potential foul play. Okay, key reported aspects related to irregularities, okay? Unusual influx of bets, meaning there's an abnormal amount of wagering activity surrounding the fight that raised the red flags, bookmakers and gambling commissions. Okay, suspicions of match fixing. For example, one of the boxers, Kane Baker, alleged that the issue stemmed from a bribe attempt where he was pressured and pursued to take a dive intentionally lose. Okay, so his family raised alarm after being approached with the money at a hotel, suggesting some individuals had insider knowledge that the fight was compromised. Fresh Melon Juice says, how is the Russian newsman not reading this? Because it's a little bit more serious right now, but also understand this is, I mean, it's an American case. If you think about it, this is only happening in the American side of the UFC, not UFC Russia, or, I mean, why would it happen in UFC Russia? Let's be honest, the majority of Russian fighters are Muslims, and there's a component to this aspect as well that we're going to talk about, okay? So the outcome of the Kane Baker and the Fayez fight, okay? Nobody is more serious than a Russian newsman, okay? The focus of the outcome, reports indicated suspicious bets were placed on Fayez to defeat Kane, okay? Potentially on a specific outcome and a method of victory. Now, the British Boxing Board of Control, the Gambling Commissions, launched a formal investigation into the matter, which led to fight's immediate cancellation, by the way, to protect the integrity of the sport. Now, in October 2024, Fayez was fined by the British Boxing Board of Commission for a breach of regulations related to the betting. And although he maintained he was not involved in any wrongdoing and was cleared of any allegations. So there it is, right? Which leads me to the conclusion of what's going to happen with this whole UFC thing. You want to know what it is? Absolutely nothing is going to happen. Cobart says there isn't a there isn't a component, dude. Well, care to elaborate on what that means? Because I was about to get to this conclusion right now, which is that nothing will happen. Look, James Krause. You know what he's doing right now? He's working in real estate. Maybe he's not working in MMA, but rest assured, don't be surprised if there are people behind the scenes that are still training with him. You just can't train with him publicly. You can't train with him in front of UFC embedded cameras. But James Krause is still out there living his life, working in real estate. On top of that, probably training with the same guys, but doing it on the low. So nothing has happened to him. On top of that, the same thing that's with Dolgarian, right? They cannot prove that this guy did not try to win. They can't prove that. You don't know. Now, you can suspect, you can have the experted eyes of Michael Chiesa, Daniel Cormier, and whoever else was there that night, Michelle Watterson, anybody who was an expert of MMA that night that was watching it, they can swear up and down that this guy was not trying, and because of the years that I put into Matt, because of the years that I put into MMA, because of the years that I put into grappling, I know what I'm looking at. BS. You can't prove that in a court of law. So nothing is going to happen and nothing is going to come out of it. I would be surprised if there's arrest that comes out of this. I highly doubt that's the case. What will happen is a few people will get banned because this is a classic case of guys on a lower tier level getting the short end of the stick when it comes to corruption. And if somebody has to take a fall, guess what? It's the guys on the lower end of the prelims, and that's really all that you have to it. So there's nothing that's going to be happening. It's going to be business as usual. Yes, this is scandalous. Yes, this is going to put a lot of bets on the lower end of people's priority, because now people are going to think to themselves, well, you know what is the point of betting if there is no high integrity in this, and I'm just going to lose my money based on something that has nothing to do with my knowledge of the game, right? Which is why I told you guys, I tell Zane all the time to stop this, because there's a religious component to this too. Now, Allah is showing you guys the curse of gambling, and as a result of that, you're going to see the punishment that many people have now have to face based on the grade and based on the transgressions that they've not only committed to themselves but for others. Now, what about all these people that are coming out of the woodwork that are saying, well, you know what, I've been approached by the mafia, or actually they never really said who was what, but obviously the mafia, according to public record, was involved in the NBA scandal with Chauncey Billups. And also that goes into question when we talk about guys that are vulnerable or on the lower tier of MMA. Usually are they the ones that are the most vulnerable that would say yes to this? Yet you got Chauncey Billups, who's an NBA Hall of Famer, makes about $9 million a year, and then you have Rozier, who's who is a $100 million player, still taking these bets. And why? Why would you do something so risky for something that is a fraction of what you make, or not even a fraction, maybe just, yeah, I mean, not even close to touching it. It's not worth it, other than reputational damage, prison time. And here's another thing. I don't think anything will happen to Chauncey Billups as well. I think just like the UFC guys, what's going to happen is that they lose their job. And when they lose their job, that's all there is to it, because they lost their job because they have to do something, right? This is really looking bad for a lot of people. It's looking bad for the UFC, who has a Paramount deal going on. It's looking bad for the FBI, who has to show the country that they are working at a competent capacity, considering the fact that you got the Epstein files going on, right? Is this a distraction? Is Kash Patel putting all his eggs into sports, eggs in one basket into sports, because he's pressured by the public to release the Epstein files and all these other things with immigration? Obviously, that may not necessarily be the biggest focus into his branch of the government. But all right, let's read these comments right here. Fresh says, is it true that Kash was on site when it happened? Zero respect. Was on site when it happened. Are you saying, well, from what I heard, the original city that Kash Patel is from is Las Vegas. So when you mean that he was on site, is that what you mean? Meaning that, you know, he was in Vegas at the time? Or is it just he is from Vegas? And then you got to understand, he also had that thing where he had a country singer, you know, partner of his that apparently people are up in arms about using, you know, government a plane, you know, a government issued plane to, you know, go to a country event or something. Or I'm sorry, I think she was singing at a wrestling event, yeah, she was singing at a wrestling event and for the national anthem. So I guess it was just, you know, a one song performance type of thing. But yeah, Fresh says, if UFC fighters doesn't make millions, it's not worth it. Stupid people, some stupid fighters. Okay. Fresh says, a losing player might win if they fix fights. Okay. It's their personality. They just don't care. It's about the money. Cash was at the event. Wow. Okay. So that's huge. So Cash was at the actual UFC event of Steve Garcia and Onama. Well, that tells you a lot, my man. That tells you a lot. Now, he was either there as a genuine fan, and I told you the reason why this is even a conversation is because Kash Patel is, whether you like him or not, okay, and there's a lot of criticisms that I have for him, just like many others out there could have a criticism about him. What we can agree on, you know, if you are a patriotic American and you understand how all of these things work, you understand that he has a very tough job, right? So regardless of whether you like him or not, the fact remains is that the fact that he's a UFC bro is the reason why all of this is in the forefront in the first place. This is the reason why we're even talking about this, why this is even an investigation, because he has decided to put his effort into this particular operation. And some FBI directors in the past would not have cared, right? Like the first FBI director, J. Edgar Hoover. I don't think he would have cared about any of this, right? I don't think Robert Mueller, The past FBI director would not have cared. James Comey would definitely not have cared about this, right? In fact, the FBI's whole entire prerogative right now, that would not be under Kash Patel. Their whole focus right now would remain in the same old stuff over and over again, right? Gang, RICO injunctions, terrorism, and cartels, and maybe even interrogating espionage suspects. That is what their whole entire prerogative would be. It would not be anything about this particular topic at hand, right? But because, once again, Kash Patel is a UFC bro, that is the reason why we have this in the forefront, why we have this as a main focus of our, of our subject matter at hand. Because if it was anybody else under the FBI, I can rest assure you nobody would care. But Kash Patel, he is a Trump guy. He is a UFC brohead. He's a typical MAGA guy. And he just happens to be the FBI director. So if you are involved in these types of things, he's going to come after you. And that's what he is adamant in doing. And he has the backing of not only the actual UFC president himself, but also the president of the United States, which he was appointed by. So, yeah, that is the reality of this. Now, let me emphasize once again, I'm going to tell you guys, this is going to come out of nothing. Right now, this sounds like the hottest news in MMA right now, and it is. It will be. It will have its 15 minutes of fame, and right after all of that subsides and dies down, we are on to the next subject. Next thing you know, Tom Aspinall is announced to fight such and such. We move on to that next one. Next thing you know, Mamdani actually implements free rides and transportations in New York. Now everybody is up in arms about it. Now the liberals are happy. Now the Republicans are angry. And then after that, while the Republicans are angry, and the Democrats are happy, the Democrats are going to find something to be pissed off about again. And then, yeah, it's just the never-ending cycle. The hottest news is Aspinall ducking Cyril Gahn. Well, ducking him, okay, you mean after the fact. Yes, yes. So, once again, that will be the next topic at hand. Right now, it's not the topic at hand. I can see it being the topic of hand, and if you paid attention to what Tom Aspinall said, he was actually adamant in letting you guys know he does not want this rematch. So, best believe that we are going to cross that road where we're going to have to ask questions on whether this is going to be, worth it, right? Whether this is going to be, a worth it situation on that regard. Okay, so next topic at hand right now, okay? The next topic at hand is Mamdani winning New York. Okay, now a lot of people are up in arms about it. Let's hear the victory speech of Mamdani. I think he had a victory speech 24 hours ago. Let's hear what Mamdani had to say here. Okay. By the way, this is the short 3-minute version of this, okay? So.
Thank you, my friends. The sun may have set over our city this evening, but as Eugene Debs once said, I can see the dawn of a better day for humanity. For as long as we can remember, the working people of New York have been told by the wealthy and the well-connected that power does not belong in their hands. Fingers bruised from...
I tell you what, a lot of people are upset about this because they believe that Mamdani is out to take you for everything that you own. Now, is that true? I don't know. Maybe there is some realism to that component. Maybe it's just right-wing, radical paranoia at its best, right? those two things could be true both at the same time, and it also depends on your own anecdotal experience and how you're affected by it, okay? That is an important thing to understand about this. Make no mistake, the reason why he won is exactly everything that he's saying right now. For a long time, the wealthy have believed that they can trample all over you. That is what he ran with. That is the sentiments that many people in New York were holding for a long time. You've had many people that have been pushed out of New York. This is very similar to LA as well, very similar to a lot of big cities in the United States. All of a sudden, they're being pushed out, right? And they're not able to afford living in a city that they grew up in, a place that they're familiar with, and sometimes a place that becomes gentrified. So, of course, you know for a fact that Mamdani is going to attract a wide range of attention on his side based on the realities of these things.
Lifting boxes on the warehouse floor, palms calloused from delivery bike handlebars, knuckles scarred with kitchen burns. These are not hands that have been allowed to hold power. And yet, over the last 12 months, you have dared to reach for something greater.
It's not so much that they dared to reach for something greater, but rather it's one of those situations where they feel that they need a new change. Look, this is how America is, right? When it was Bush, it was wars. And then before you know it, it became an unpopular war. And then our economy started going down. And the next thing you know, we wanted a new change. What was that new change? Obama. Obama came in. Everything felt like it was all about socialism. Next thing you know, everything became woke. It became a place where everybody was soft. Everybody had to have pronouns. And then on top of that, everybody was getting canceled. So now they pushed Obama out and then they bring Trump in. Now Trump comes in. Then he kind of goes crazy in 2016. Extremely controversial, but a little bit more palatable, at least at the end of his term in 2020. And then he became more palatable when he got shot, and then afterwards he decided to create a new team behind him, right? Out with Mike Spence and in with J.D. Vance, and out with the old cabinet and in with these new people that I have appointed, including Kash Patel, into the director's chair, right? So that's how America is. Right? They go from right to left and left to right in every generation. Every 4 years, they change depending on how bad or good of a job that previous president did. And they always react to what the last president did as a result of how they're going to vote, at least as a collective, into the next election. That's just what I noticed about American politics in a nutshell. Fresh says, Mamdani thinking he can outsmart the richest people in the world is narcissism at its finest. He's a child. Yeah, I don't know how he's going to implement these things or how he can even bring about, let's say, having free transportation. I mean, look, it's a great idea, right? The other argument of that could be that perhaps maybe you would be attracting, let's say, the unruly of society to be in these trains, right? If they haven't been already. I mean, obviously you see all types of people in these trains, and as a result, you have a Daniel Penny situation in your hands. But we'll see where this goes. But obviously this is a happy day for the Democrats, and as you imagine, a very sad day for a lot of conservatives out there. Even 50 Cent came out with a meme that said R.I.P. New York 1600 to 2025, meaning that this is the death of New York due to Mamdani being elected. I mean, that's kind of crazy for 50 Cent to say that, but yeah, we'll see. We'll see how this goes. Also, he says, Mamdani thinking okay, we read that. I honestly think Republicans let him win to give themselves a chance to win NY when Mamdani has failed big. Well, I don't know if that's the right strategy, right? I mean, I can understand what you mean by the long-term strategy of things, But the long-term strategy is winning, having your party in there and implementing what you need to do before they start reversing the things that you want, right? I would think that that would be the game, but I'm neither a Democrat or a Republican, so I don't really have the highest stakes in that game. Plus, I don't live in the East Coast anymore, so I don't know how much really him being a mayor would affect me all the way out here in California. But it is still interesting nonetheless, and it's still a great news topic to commentate on. So
Tonight, against all odds, we have grasped it. The future is in our hands. My friends, we have toppled a political dynasty. I wish Andrew Cuomo only the best in private life.
and of course he had to say that, just to be a good sportsman and whatnot. But yeah.
Let tonight be the final time I utter his name. As we turn the page on politics.
Fresh says Mamdani has built nothing. He has done nothing in the real world. It's a joke. Well, he is the elected mayor, right? What can you do? And he's young. Look, here's the thing, right? I don't necessarily agree with everything that he stands for, right? I mean, look, even as a Muslim, right, there's a lot of things that I sort of can stand against him with, right? And I don't even want to go into that because some of those are cancelable, offenses to begin with to even talk about. But what I will say is that it's good that he's young. Okay, 34 years old. We need leaders like that. JD Vance, okay, under 40. We need leaders like that. The Middle East has a lot of leaders that are within that age group, right? Whereas with America, we seem to be obsessed with electing or keeping people in power who are really old. And I think that maybe it's just human nature that we don't like change. And perhaps maybe if we keep certain people in power who are this old or have done it for so long that somehow, but understand this, right? To be the president of the United States or just to be a mayor, period, right? It's like you have short-term limits, right? So within those short-term limits, within your third year, you're just really learning it. And in your fourth year, you're on and running, and you're doing everything, in the right path, and you're just really just learning the job at that point, right? It's not enough years, right? Which is why I say, I don't know, man. I mean, look, not that I'm against America's, political. I'm sorry. Not that I'm against their system in any kind of way or democratic system, or at least the perception of a democratic system. But there's always an argument for monarchies where you ask a king to do something and they do it with a snap of her fingers, and the next thing you know, the roads are built. Next thing you know, whatever issues you have going on with agriculture, it gets done because you speak to him directly and he can get the job done based on his own centralized power. Whereas you have a lot of decompartmentalized power in this type of society, but at the same time, it does protect a lot of tyrannical behavior, right? So the big problem is you don't have to be a lawyer to become a judge in the United States. That's insane and not a short-term problem. Well, here's the thing, right? Kash Patel, man, he's becoming, a top subject of this matter right now, and as well as he should, okay? And again, regardless of how I feel about the guy politically, regardless of how I feel about him as a position of a law enforcement director of, the biggest law enforcement agency in the country, regardless of that, he's an interesting fella, okay? A very interesting fella. And he's in a very interesting position right now because he was an attorney general, from what I understand. So he was an attorney. He was never a law enforcement official, right? So he never bust a gun at least not anything you know, that's not outside of his you know, own, let's say, leisure, or his own what do you call it, hobby of some sort, right? So he never shot a gun, was not a law enforcement you know, officer or agent or anything to that sort, and he got shot right up into the director's chair, right? The director of the FBI, and has never served as a police officer, never served as an FBI agent. So I don't know what to tell you, right? I mean, you know, people get jobs all the time that are not deserving of their character, not deserving of their resume or accolades, right? It happens all the time, but yeah, it is.
Politics that abandons the many and answers only to the few. New York, tonight you have delivered a mandate for change.
He says you need to understand the law to be a judge. It's not the same. The problem is you have to be a lawyer to become a judge. Okay, yes, you do have to be a lawyer to become a judge, right? But not as an FBI director. So yes, I see what you're saying though.
Mandate for a new kind of politics. A mandate for a city we can afford. And a mandate for a government that delivers exactly that. On January 1st, I will be sworn in as the mayor of New York City.
Yes, no, I understand what you're saying. Yes, you have to be a lawyer to become a judge, right? But you don't have to be an FBI agent to become an FBI director. And I agree with you. That is absolutely insane. And yeah, it has nepotism written all over it. But yeah, I guess, I don't know, man. I mean, you know, I don't agree with hiring people because you know them or this and that, but I get it. You know, people who are very emotional, or people who are, you know, on that, you know, on that tier of low emotional intelligence will usually choose people based on that. Fresh says you do not have to be a lawyer to become. You do not have to be. You do not have to be a lawyer to become a judge. Oh, okay. Okay, no. You don't have to be a lawyer to become a judge. You don't have to be a lawyer to become. Okay. Gotcha. Okay, I understand what you're saying.
And that is because of you. So before I say anything else, I must say this. Thank you. Thank you to the next generation of New Yorkers who refuse to accept that the promise of a better future was a relic of the past. You showed that when politics speaks to you without condescension, we can usher in a new era of leadership.
Dynamite. What do you mean by that? Check fold. Who is a dynamite? Are you talking about the person that's talking behind me, or are you talking about? I don't know what you mean. Give me some context and what you mean by that, brother. By the way, welcome. Let me know what part of the world you are from, and also hit the like button if you can, please.
We will fight for you because we are you. Or as we say on Steinway, ana minkum wa ilaykum.
All right, and that's that right there, right? You know, he ends it with a little bit of some Arabic right there, and this and that. Okay, so listen, kind of wanted to make this, you know, a bit of a short one. Wanted to come in here, get this in, and you know, get it cracking. For those of you that have missed anything, don't forget to rewind back. You will be able to see this, you know, right afterwards. With that in mind, guys, don't forget to hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and I will see you in the next one, inshallah. And by the way, check out my new videos that I have out right now regarding this particular topic at hand. Also, Ronda Rousey and her comments about Khabib and all the stories that are going on in the world of MMA right now. So, yeah, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. I will see you guys in the next one. inshallah.